Welcome back to the Catnip Podcast. My name is Grace and today is Friday, May 25th. This is a podcast about knitting and spinning and all the crafty things, baking, books, cats, everything that I think would be fun to share with you. But mostly knitting because that is what I love to do the most. Today is a little bit lighter of an episode just because I didn't get as much knitting done this week, but we'll go into that in just a minute. Like always, if you'd like to follow me on any of my social medias, all of them will be linked down below, but there is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Ravelry. I'm most active on Instagram, so if you'd like to follow me on there, you can get all the updates all the time about what I'm doing. In addition to that, all the show notes and links to things that I will probably be talking about in this episode will also be linked down below, or they'll be linked on my blog, so you can go and check that out. Yes. I apologize for the short episode last week. That was a bummer. I really don't know what the problem is. I'm working on trying and figuring that out. I think it's a problem with YouTube for some reason, or maybe I don't think it's our internet. I don't know. It's not a problem with iMovie. I did figure that out. So that's a good thing. I did figure one thing out. So I'm just... It's a process, but I do appreciate those of you who reached out to me to let me know that it was only 19 minutes instead of the full episode, so I really appreciated that. Thank you so much. We got through this intro super quickly today, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the episode. If you would like to go and grab something tasty to drink, today I have a breakfast smoothie because today is going to be a busy day and I need to eat breakfast while I record, so you know, you just gotta multitask. So if you'd like to go grab something tasty to drink or eat, or maybe you're having your breakfast, or something to craft on, and you can come back and join me for some crafty chat. There is an odd noise going on somewhere, and I can't find out where, and it's not the cat, and I'm not sure what it is, so if you hear something weird, I don't know what it is. But anyway, so this week I have two projects to show you. One of them you have seen before. One of them I am also carrying a hanger in the bag because I used it to take a picture and post it on my Instagram. So if you would like to go check that out, you can. Obviously this is not relevant to the podcast. But I love my popcorn balmer that I'm working on. I realize I keep saying it balmer, it's bomber. I'm pronouncing it strangely, so if you notice that I said it weirdly, I apologize, but I do know it is bomber instead of balmer. So yes, this is my, Mom's Popcorn Bomber by A Nordic Knitting Tale. This has been my sweater of woe. If you have seen previous episodes, this was a sweater that I had to completely frog because I divided for the armholes and it was way too small. It fit just fine, but it was like nothing what the actual sweater was supposed to look like, which was a big bummer. So, hence the tale of woe. But it didn't take me very long to get back to where I was and get past it. So that is super exciting. I have now done the decreases for the body and I've started the ribbing for the bottom, which is just so crazy. And I'm so excited and I love it. And I'm also like a little chilly right now just because like, yeah, air conditioning, and this is just so snuggly and I want to be able to wear it. So I am super excited about this. Something about being able to put it on and like see where it was actually gonna hit me, and I'm sorry for the camera blowing me out, but something about it is just so inspiring and just like, it's gonna work. I'm so excited. I didn't think it was, I knew it was gonna work, but I also wasn't like 100% sure that it was gonna work. There was a slight thing in my mind being like, it won't work, it won't fit, it'll just look weird. But that's not the case. So I'm super excited about this. And I realize it's very hard to see the popcornies or the baubles. I think it's very cute to call them popcorn, so that's what I'm just going to continue to call them. But these little guys right there, super easy. I'm not a pro at them. I'm very good at them. So that's very exciting, and it's just, I've said in the past, this is not an easy pattern, but it's not an easy pattern in that you have to use previous sweater knowledge. So if you are an avid sweater knitter, go for it. If you are a beginning sweater knitter, probably want to hold off on this one for a while until you have knit a couple and your knitting sweater repertoire has grown. Just because there are some things that's just like, I'm glad I know that I need to do that, otherwise I probably wouldn't have done that. Anyway, I'm very excited about this. And because of this and looking at the Instagram hashtag for it, which is super inspiring because everyone who's made this sweater is super cute and I love their style, and it just looks so cute with like high-waisted jeans, which are my favorite, and high-waisted skirts, which are also my favorite, and also overalls, which obviously I love. So it's like the perfect sweater, really. So I literally just realized the weird sound that I've been hearing, that I've been thinking has been coming out from over there, that I thought was the cat pushing around kitty litter, is me turning in my chair and rubbing against a plastic bag. Yay. Go me. But yeah, so back to the knitting. Because of all like just looking at the hashtag and people who have made this sweater before and looking at their Instagram profiles and their Ravelry project pages and all that kind of stuff, I have discovered the world of like Danish and Norwegian and all that kind of, that area of patterns, which are just so cute and I want to make them all. Except it's not cold enough here usually, and a lot of the patterns, or not a lot of them, some of them are not in English, so that is kind of unfortunate. So if I find a pattern that I really like, and it's in a language that I can't read, that is a bit unfortunate. I know that Google Translate is a thing, but I don't know if I'm confident enough in my figuring out skills to do that quite yet, so we will see. Who knows? That being said, my mom and I have already planned our next knit along together, which is super exciting. I went and hung out with her on Wednesday, Tuesday, which was was it Tuesday? Yeah, it was Tuesday. I'm sorry. This past week has been super busy and all the days seem to blend together. On Tuesday, I went and hung out with my mom, and we got to knit and just chat and hang out, and it was super fun. And we planned our next knit along because I'm getting close to being done and she's making really good progress as well. I realize that we have other knit alongs that we have going on, but we are just, you know, you can never have too many knit alongs. You can never have too many projects. You can never have too many knitting ideas. Just let your knitting creative brain do its thing, and if you're inspired to do research for something that you want to make, do it. Do not suppress the creative juices in your brain. Just let them flow. So we will hopefully be making the No Frills sweater by Petite Knit, I believe. So that is super exciting. It is very similar to this, except it is not a cardigan. It does not have little popcornies on it. But it is, again, it's got a mohair held double, with that really fail of showing you that. So it will have the plain normal yarn, and then we will hold a mohair strand with it. So that's super exciting. I forgot to mention this yarn is Drops Nepal, which is the main thing, and then the mohair is also Drops Kid Silk. So that is super exciting. We will also be using Drops Kid Silk and Drops Flora for the no frill sweater, which is super exciting. Unfortunately, when we were looking at the yarn on Tuesday, they didn't have the yarn that we were wanting. Apparently there was like a big sale going on, and so they just were out of stock. So we have to wait, which is totally fine. It's just, it's probably better that way. Knowing that we have to get our other things done, and if we have more time between finishing this guy and getting the yarn, I really need to stop moving because the sound is very distracting. I'm very sorry. Okay, I think I solved the problem. What was I saying? Oh yes, so we have other things that we can knit on that we are knitting along together that do need to get finished, or things that I need to finish anyway. So that's good, and yes, I will be inspired to get more things done, I'm sure, once I finish this thing. So this sweater is a steeked sweater. I know you can't really see it here, but it is steeked. There's a little panel running along right here that I will be either crocheting or sewing and then cutting, which is just so mind-blowingly scary. I know it's really not that bad, and I think I said this last week that I've heard that once you steek, you never go back. So, unless you would have a bad experience, of course, but hopefully that won't happen. You know what? Just positive thoughts, positive thoughts. I haven't done the research that I need to do yet for steeking tutorials and practicing wise, but because I'm getting close to the end of this sweater, I think once I finish the body, maybe I will start doing that research and gathering things to look at. But I plan on trying out both ways, the crochet method and the sewing method, because my mom does have a sewing machine, so that's very convenient. But I also want to try the crochet method and see how that holds up, how that works, just because I have never done either one, so I have no experience or knowledge of how things turn out. So it's a big learning experience for me. This sweater has been such a learning experience, and part of me is just like upset with that, but also part of me is like, good for you. You know what? You did something hard. You learned a lot. Also, it's very sunny. Over there, it's overcast. Over here, it's really sunny, so I don't know what's going on. But once I do get the whole steek thing out of the way, and I learn how to do that, and it is no longer a fear of mine, and I can cross it off of my 2018 knitting bucket list or to-do list, I hope to do more steek sweaters, because knowing how to steek will just really opens up the possibilities of more sweaters, because there's so many like colorwork sweaters that are steeked, obviously because purling and colorwork is kind of a pain. I don't think it's too much of a pain, but it's definitely, like, I can understand just wanting to knit and knit and knit, and that would just make things super easy. What was I talking about? I don't remember. I remember. It was colorwork sweaters. There's one sweater in particular that I keep on going back to, and I just want to make so badly, but again, it's steeked, so I'm hoping that once this is done, I will be like, steek all the things! I can do it! This is no problem! Yay, steeking! And it's called Cockatoo Bray by Kate Davies, I believe. So it's in the whole, like, Shetland, very Shetlandy inspired knits, lots of color work, lots of just beautiful, beautiful cardigans. She designs such wonderful things. They are like, they're beautiful and they're very unique, but they're also kind of like heirloomy also. I don't know if that's the right word to describe her things, but that's just kind of the vibe that I get when I look at her patterns, and I'm always super inspired to make them just because they're just so beautiful. Specifically the sweater, Cockatoo Bray. So that is super exciting. I will link that in the show notes, so if you want to check that out, if you are interested in looking or knitting a colorwork sweater that is steeked, if you have already experienced the steeking, I say go for it. So That is very exciting, but that is long down the road, and here we have lots of sunlight that has just now appeared, and it is very bright, so apologies for that. So yes, Steeking, gotta finish this one first. We're gonna make another one together with mohair. I think it'll be super awesome. I keep seeing people knit these no frill sweater. I think it's gaining popularity, or more people are hearing about it, and so it's just, again, it's very inspiring to see all these no frill sweaters, and it just makes me want one. So we're gonna make one, and then I will have one, and my mom will have one too, and so everything will be happy. So moving on to my second knitting project. It is very small. It is very small. But it's literally very small because I only started it last night. So apologies. I knew that I needed to have more than one thing to talk about on the podcast today. So also I needed to get this started, and I was late in starting it, which was my own fault. I don't remember which side is the right side and wrong side, but that's okay. You know what? It's fine. This is the Onette shawl. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is O-N-E-T-E, Onette. So this is the shawl that I was talking about last week that I am making out of Knit Picks palette in the Limeade Heather colorway. This is the commission knit for one of my husband's high school teachers, so that is super exciting, and I'm sorry for my needles clicking. That is annoying. So yes, I literally just started on this last night. It's not very far, but it's a good like not paying attention and knitting, because there was setup rows, and then it's like a 2-row repeat until you have a certain amount of stitches, which is like a poop ton of stitches, because it's just a garter stitch shawl. So that's super exciting. It's a free pattern, which is also super great, so if you want to go and check it out, I think it is a Manos del Uruguay pattern. They came out with it, and obviously they did it in their yarn, and it looks, I'm very sorry for these needles, I keep letting them click together. It looks super great in their yarn. Obviously the color green was requested, and I knew that this would be a good, fast, and also cost-efficient yarn to use. Also, I'm just very excited about this. It's a garter stitch triangle, like I said, and at the bottom there are a couple rows of eyelets, which are super, super pretty. It just kind of makes it look a little bit more delicate. It's not frilly. I don't know. It just, it really makes it look very classy. It looks it, words today. It really just kind of amps it up a little bit and gives it another design element that makes it look more special than just a regular garter stitch triangle. So super easy. Would recommend if you are looking for a garter stitch triangular shawl and you have a one skein of a special fingering weight that you want to use that you think would look good in garter stitch. Would definitely recommend. Also free pattern, how can you go wrong with that? So would recommend. This is a good reading material knitting as well. So if you're into that, look this up. So knitting wise, unfortunately, that is all I have. I'm very sorry, like I said today. Today's been busy. This whole week has been very busy. It's just been very crazy, and when I've had time to sit down, I haven't really felt like knitting, and the other times I just haven't had time to sit down and knit. So that is why. Hopefully this coming week will be a little more quiet. We will see. I'm not sure. So you never know. But either way, it'll be fine. You know what? Content is content. And I've had really good episodes like the past several weeks, so I'm not going to feel too bad about having a lighter week this week. In regards to books, here's some more content for you. So a couple weeks ago, and I think last week maybe, I mentioned that I was listening to Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz, which I finished yesterday, and oh my goodness, so good. If you are into any kind of mysteries, if you have read Agatha Christie and like Dorothy Sayers and all that kind of stuff, and you think that some of the more recent mysteries that have been put out are just kind of like meh, they're just not as good as Agatha Christie. I say that because I've been in that, I'm kind of in that group sometimes. This one is so good. It's so good. I don't know how to describe it. It's just so great. So I don't know what to say. It's just so good. I highly recommend you reading it if you're into any kind of murder mysteries or just mysteries in general. I highly recommend it, and I hear sirens are coming, and that's unfortunate. It is a very thick book, so that is exciting. You get a long story that is very complicated, but surprisingly very easy to understand and keep track of, because it's very well written. I also really, this is not like a requirement of books that I read, especially like mysteries, but I thought I really appreciated it because it just kind of, I don't know, it made it seem more real almost. But there were so many like pop culture references, and I mean pop culture, I mean like references to murder TV shows that the BBC has done and books and all that kind of stuff that have been published recently, because this book has been published within the past year and a half or something like that. So it mentions things like Broadchurch, and it mentions things like Midsummer Murders, and it mentions things like the Lindley mysteries and all that kind of stuff. So things that you wouldn't really think would be mentioned, but they use those things to like compare to what's kind of going on, or like writing styles and all that kind of stuff. It's just so good, and I don't know how to explain it without giving too much away. But it's so good. If you see it at the library, if you see it at Barnes & Noble, if you see it on your online library, however you read your books, if you ever see it, you should read it because it's super good. Or if you have the opportunity to listen to it, the audiobook reader, there were 2 of them because it's split up into 2 different kind of parts. But I don't know how to explain that without giving too much away. So both readers were super good. I think there was a man and a woman reading different parts, or different sections, I should say. And the woman, I think she's been in some of the BBC version, or like movie TV shows of Miss Marple, I think, because her voice was so familiar, and I remember hearing her voice, obviously, because I saw her in a Miss Marple episode, or a couple episodes or something like that. So I think that's who that is, which I think is pretty cool that she was like in a Miss Marple mystery, and now she's reading a murder mystery that makes a lot of references to Agatha Christie and Miss Marple and all that kind of stuff. So that's super cool. Again, if you are into mysteries or murder mysteries or crime or anything like that, I highly recommend Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz, for sure. Also, while we're on the topic of books, if you would like to keep up to date, I don't always mention everything that I'm reading on the podcast just because I know that it would not necessarily appeal to everyone, but if there's something that just really makes me excited about reading it, I'm going to share it with you guys. But if you are interested in just checking up on what I'm reading all the time, you can go and follow me on Goodreads. You can be my friend. I welcome all the friends. So you can see what I'm reading that I might not necessarily mention on the podcast. Also, I can see what you're reading, and that's super fun too. So, cool beans. If you're interested in that, that's available to you. That will be linked in the show notes and everywhere. So, no worries. I didn't do any baking this week because it was really busy. So, that's a bummer. But, oh well, you know what? It happens. That is all that I have for this week. I apologize again for the shortness of this episode, but it is what it is. Thank you so much for coming and joining me for some little crafty chats and book chats and all that kind of stuff. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you are a new viewer, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Like always, all my various social medias, they'll be linked everywhere, including Goodreads. If you like to see the links to things that I have discussed in this podcast episode, you can go and check them out. They will be linked on my blog, or if you're on YouTube, they'll be linked down below in the down bar. I'm getting ready to sneeze. I always feel like my allergies hit me the hardest on Fridays, which is when I record, and that's just very unfortunate. So, allergies, why do you do this to me? We've been having a crazy amount of rain, and so it's been like stirring up all the pollen and stuff, and so on one hand, yay for rain, because we haven't had rain in a while, but on the other hand, it's just like my eyes and my nose. I hope you've had a wonderful week, and I hope you continue to have a wonderful weekend. It's crazy that May is almost over and June is almost here, and that means that we're halfway through the year, and that was a rhyme, and I didn't plan it to rhyme, but that's pretty cool. Have you started planning for Christmas knitting? Because there's something in the back of my mind that's just like, you should start planning your Christmas knitting so you don't get behind like you did last year and then not get things done. Are you doing that? Maybe I should do that. I should probably do that just because I know I will not get things done in time, and then some people will not get presents, which is bad on me. So I should probably work on that. It's also really wonderful because we are having such beautiful, beautiful weather. It is raining. Or not, it's not currently raining, but it has been very rainy. But when it hasn't been rainy, it has been beautiful. Thankfully, it's been really hot, but there's always been like a breeze of some sort, so it kind of cools things down. And our apartment complex has a very nice pool, so we haven't been able to use it yet just because we've been busy, but we hope to use it soon. My parents have a pool, so we can go and hang out with them and just enjoy the pool and get a tan and play around, and it's super wonderful. So, fun times. Is it cold where you are? If it's cold where you are, I'm slightly jealous, but also I am enjoying the weather that we have now, so I don't know. I'm very torn between cold and hot weather, but I think I prefer cold weather, so oh, the decisions in life. What kind of weather do you prefer? I don't know. I have finished my little breakfast smoothie, so I think it is time to go and get this podcast edited. I will do my best to make sure that it is the full episode up. Tomorrow we aren't planning on going anywhere. We don't have any like very important engagements like graduation or family events or whatever that we have to go and be at early in the morning. So I have more like ability to make sure that it is up properly. The past couple of weeks we've been doing things on Saturday, and so when I put the podcast up, I don't realize, or I don't find out that it hasn't worked until like we need to leave in the next 10 minutes. So it's kind of like a stressful situation, and it's all my fault just because I don't check it. But I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm gonna check every time now. So fingers crossed everything goes well. The editing last week went just fine. It was much easier than I thought it was, so that was super great. And it wasn't overexposed, so woohoo, that's super exciting. Today is a little bit lighter, just because I had the blinds open, because it's beautiful outside. So, yes. I hope if you have crafty plans that they are successful this week. I hope to get knitting done whenever I can. That is my goal for this weekend and this coming week. I have no idea when it's going to work out, but you know what? That's fine. It happens when it happens, and it'll be good. I don't know really what I'm saying at this point, but you know what I mean. So I guess that is all I have for this week, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!